Good afternoon and welcome back. In today's video, we'll be answering the question, what is a client script in ServiceNow? Hello, and in order to answer the question, what is a client script, we're going to need to cover some other areas, which I'm hoping will be useful also. So we're going to be looking at what a client script is, when are they used and why do we use them? Where can they be used? What are the different types of client script we might see? What classes do we have access to? And then towards the end of the video, we're going to take a look at the client script form, and I'm going to show you some of the fields that you might come across. So what is a client script? Before we get too far into it, I just want to make the distinction between client-side scripting and server-side scripting. So in ServiceNow, obviously we have both. Just to give you an example, in server-side, we've got things like business rules, script includes. Client-side, we have our things such as client script and UI policies. Those are examples. I just want to point that out that the client scripts, what we really mean is the web browser, scripts that are running on the web browser. So client scripts are client-side scripting that allows ServiceNow to run JavaScript on the user's browser. So when client-based events occur, such as when a form loads or field value changes or the form's just been submitted. And all of those are valid use cases for when we might use a client script. And when are they used and why do we use them? Well, broadly speaking, we use them to manage forms and form fields. So to give you an example, we can generate alerts or confirmations or messages that pop up on the screen. We can use them to populate a form field in response to another field's value. So for example, if you change the state, maybe you want to change the short description. We can use them to highlight a form field, to draw attention to it for the end user. We can validate form data. So we can get people to enter data into a particular field and perhaps do some validation against it and say, hey, well, there we go. We can use bullet point 1 and perhaps create an alert or a message. We can use it to modify choice list options. So again, if you think about state being a choice list, it's the only one that's coming to mind at the moment. We can use client scripts to modify what's in that choice list based on where we are in the process, perhaps. We can use it to hide and show fields or sections. We can also use it to make fields read-only, not read-only, mandatory, not mandatory. But you can see here at the bottom, I've put those with an asterisk. So there's a conversation or debate that needs to be had in terms of when you would use a UI policy over a client script. And I think that's for another video. But personally speaking, if I'm making fields read-only, if I want to show hide fields or make them mandatory, my first port of call is always a UI policy. And I'll start the UI policy. And if I can't do what I'm trying to do there for some reason, then I might go and look at the client script route. And where can they be used? And this means really what UI type we can use them in. So when we look at the form itself, we'll find a field which is aptly named UI type. And you can select desktop to run it just on the desktop. We can use it in the portal, so the portal interface, or we can set it to use on the mobile, or all of the above. And we'll see that when we look at the form. Now, this is when it starts to get really interesting. So what are the different types of client script we can have? Well, there's 4 different types, and I'm going to list them off here. So we've got on-cell edit. And if I'm being honest, I rarely see people use on-cell edit, but it's for when you want to make field changes on the list view. On change, that one you predominantly see the most of, an on change. So when a specific field, so you select the field, we'll say this in the form, and you basically determine what you want to happen when that field changes. We've got an on load, so when the form loads. So think about an incident. If you're loading a new incident, perhaps you can get a client script that runs and, maybe pops up a message. And we got an on submit. So this is when, again, if we take our incident scenario, you're saving the incident record and you perhaps want some validation maybe before there's a save event occurs. So that's on submit. And what are the classes that we have access to? So in reality, these are things that we can use on the client script. So you might have heard of gform or guser before. So these are classes that have different methods in that we can access from the client side. Okay, gform, guser. I've also put GlideAjax in there as well, because this is another common one you're going to see. This is when we want to start our transaction on the client side, initiate a call to a script include. So on the server side scripting, do some heavy lifting, perhaps do some queries maybe, and pass back the information we've done. So the result of the query on the server side, pass it back to the client to then, I don't know, change a field value or put a message on screen perhaps. So that's GlideAjax. I've covered that in a couple of other videos. So again, I'll stick an annoying kind of pop-up thing that comes up on YouTube. So look out for that. So that's gform, guser, GlideAjax. Okay, so let's go into the platform and let's look at the client script form. So I've gone into the instance. This is San Diego. I've done a video on my top 5 inserts, San Diego and Polaris. So check those videos out. We're going to go to client scripts and we access that by typing in client scripts. There is a differentiation between catalog client scripts and client scripts. Again, I've touched on catalog client scripts on a GlideAjax video that I've done, which I've already put the link up, and I'll put a link in the description. But for now, we're just going to look at client scripts. So here's our list. So out the box, we get, as you can see, you get over 1,500, so 1,617 out the box client scripts. So we're just going to launch the form. And we're going to navigate around and just talk about the different fields that we might see. We've got name up here. This is the name of the script that you want to create. I would say, you know, across your platform, come up with a naming convention or something that's logical. So from an administration point of view, it makes sense. So we'll just put test in there for now. The table, this is the table that we want to run the client script on. So we may want to do this on an incident, perhaps. Then we've got UI type, and we've mentioned this previously. So we have desktop, so that's going to run as we see it right now. Mobile/service portal, so this will either run on mobile interface or the service portal, or all. You know, if we're not sure, we can just tick all. But there is a capability to only run it on desktop if you don't want some running on service portal. So let's go for all. Type. This, again, we've mentioned previously today, but these are our different types. And when we select the types, I want you to notice the script field, which at the minute has nothing in. As we start selecting, there's predefined text that comes up in the script that, you know, we leave as is, but we add to it. Okay, so it creates the function for us. We've got on change. This is the one I said you most commonly see. On load and on submit. And you would type what script you may want to do there. For example, on a submit, it may be a form validation. And we might want to put a message on the form. Moving over, we've got active. That makes sense. Application, let's just look at that one quickly. This is the application that this script is created within. Now, I haven't got the application picker and I'm in global, but if we wanted to do this on a specific application, we could go into that application and then create it from there. Inherited. So this is if we create a table that's extended from incident. So perhaps we created a new table called, I don't know, incident extended. And we extended that table from incident. We could then create our client script on the incident table and tick inherited. And that therefore the client script would run on the inherited tables also, or the extended tables. Global. This will be defaulted to true. But if we deselect that, we can got an option to put a view. What this means is, do we want this client script to run on a particular view of the form? So again, if we chose incident, you've got things like default view, or you might have case view or pop-up view, or you might even create your own view. But you can choose whether the client script runs on all views or just specific views. We have description. This one for me is quite an important one. I don't see this completed nearly enough. Description, this is your opportunity to write what this script is about. What's it doing? Okay. And I would urge anyone to make use of that description because believe you me, when you come back to look at a system perhaps a year later and you see a client script, you want to see the description. It'll help you out in the long run. Then we got messages. So messages, again, is something I'll probably do another video on this. But messages is somewhere where we can list the messages that we want to access in the script itself. So there's a messages table in ServiceNow. If we were using translation, say, for example, if we wanted to do an alert message, like an alert that popped up on the form on change, maybe, and it said, I don't know, hang fire. So if we created a entry in the message table and we had that as hang fire, we might want to change that to be, or we might want to translate that into perhaps Spanish or French, maybe. You would do that translation in the messages table, put your message up here, and then you can access that message from within the script. Again, not really for this video. I'll probably do another one on that. And we'll go through that. But that's what it's for, the messages field. And then, of course, we have the script field. We've already touched on that when you change the type, it changes the functions and what's within the functions. We've got all our usual icons at the top of the script pane there. And in terms of the classes that we mentioned, so I'm just going to briefly show you those. So, well, what have we got access to when we're in this script? We've already mentioned them. We've got access to gform. Again, really helpful if we type gform, we then get a list of all the methods we can use, and there's lots. So we're not going to go into them, but there is lots. You just gform dot. We could do the same with guser dot. Okay. So now we move down to this thing called isolate script. So we've got a checkbox. I think ServiceNow introduced this on a London version. So we've got this isolate script option, which you'll see across things like client scripts, UI policies, UI actions, catalog client scripts. So essentially what it does is it allows you on a script by script basis to determine whether that script can have access to the DOM, so document object model. And ServiceNow have always said that a DOM manipulation inside a client script is a big no-no. So this, I guess, is their way of controlling or at least adding some control. So as an administrator, you can control and being the driving seat of which scripts can access it and which can't. Okay, so that's it for our whistle-stop tour of client script in ServiceNow. I hope it's been useful. I welcome any feedback in the comments below. If you're new here and not yet a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell icon, give it a thumbs up. It makes all the difference to me. And yeah, I hope this has been useful to you. And until the next time.